Welcome to the Supreme Lending Dallas Show, where you'll be introduced to different speakers on different topics, and you'll meet different guests for each of our episodes. Let's get started.
Hi, I'm Liz Evans, host of the Supreme Lending Dallas Show, and I want to introduce our guest today. His name is Roy Ponder with POW, Ponder on Weather. Roy, go ahead and say hi to the audience.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Liz.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Sure.
And as we talk about the weather, we had quite a storm last night, didn't we?
We certainly did, that's for sure.
And we were talking about all your Facebook followers that were following you and asking questions about all the different cities and locations, asking you questions because it was a crazy night.
It really was. I was live for 5 hours on my page, so.
Okay. And we also like to get to know our guests on a personal level. So, Roy, go ahead and talk about this photo.
Well, that's me and my wife, Chris. So we actually got married on a beach in Jamaica back in 2004. We wanted to kind of a destination wedding, and so yeah, that was 17 years ago. So yeah, so I got to marry my best friend, and we got engaged. We met in 2001, actually at work. We met at work, and then we got engaged right after in 2003. But then right after that, after we started, liking each other, we got married in 2004, and it's been really nice ever since.
And then Roy, tell us about this family picture.
Oh, that was actually when my son ran his first 5K. We were avid runners, and that was our first family 5K together. So that was a pretty impactful moment.
Okay. And now, Roy, you are a native Texan. Have you ever thought about living anywhere else?
Honestly, yes. I grew up in Texas. I've been there all my life, and if I ever left anywhere else, I would probably live in Colorado. It kind of fits my personality. I love the outdoors and the mountains as well. And then it fits my aspect of the weather too, because it has a little bit of everything with snow and heat and rain and hail. And so it would probably be Colorado if I ever had to move.
And with you saying that, Colorado, because you are an outdoors person, so besides being a weatherman, you are also an avid runner with accomplishments as running 100 miles in a single event. How long have you been a runner, and how long did it take you to run the 100 miles?
Well, we actually got involved with Team in Training, which is we raised a lot of money for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society back in 2009. And originally I was never really a runner. We started out as a relay race. I ended up doing a marathon in my first race. I ended up getting kind of crazy with it. So I ended up doing all the marathons in Texas. And so we were with Tim in Training for almost up to 10 years, raising money throughout the cause and traveled all different locations. So I probably done like 40 marathons. And I started ultra running back in 2011. This basically anything above a marathon, so which is like a 50K, a 50 miler. And yes, I did accomplish a 100-mile race, which was 26 hours and 5 minutes, all at one time, all on foot. So, and then of course I had pacers along the way, but that was definitely very challenging. It took me 7 months to train for that event, running almost at 70 miles a week just to prepare for the event.
Okay, thank you for that information. And Roy, when did you realize you wanted to report on the weather as more than just a hobby?
Well, when I started probably making enough money for it to justify I could actually do it full time. But it was all a hobby for me, and I love the weather. I really have a true passion for it. And so I guess at the time frame, I had a YouTube channel and had a couple different sponsors that it was enough to justify to leave my job and do it full time.
Okay. And you not only like or love being a weatherman, you're obsessed with the weather. Tell us about your obsession.
Well, I got involved with the weather all the way back when I was 8 years old. I grew up in Houston. I went through Hurricane Alicia, hit my house. It was 110 mile per hour winds. The light was off, electricity was off for 3 weeks. So I find myself watching like all four news stations, right? I mean, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 11, Channel 13. just wanted to get an aspect of the weather. It was something I always really loved. I used to forecast for a lot of my running groups. And then finally, my wife got tired of hearing me talk about the weather all the time. She said, hey, we're just going to start a Facebook page for you, and you could talk about the weather on there. And so that was about 4 years ago now. I actually just had the 4-year anniversary of POW. So that's actually how POW got started.
And is your wife your biggest supporter?
Oh, absolutely. She does all the marketing and branding for POW. She is the brainchild behind all the colors and the logo and all the branding behind it.
Okay. And Roy, we have a viewer asking, is there another weatherman you look up to?
I know two come to mind. I follow a lot of people, at least 200 of them. I know Jim Cantori is one of my idols, and as well as James Spann. Cantori. I like anybody that has, a true passion for the weather, and not just really maybe does it just because it's their job. So you can actually tell when they forecast from the heart, and especially like James Spann, he deals with a lot of inclement weather in Alabama. He's the meteorologist in Alabama, and you can actually, you can feel it. The main goal as a meteorologist is to save, life and property, and he goes above and beyond for his viewers to do both of those, and not only, because he deals with a lot of those tornadoes, to find like hidden photos and put pieces of the puzzle back together to have some sort of sense of normalcy again after their house has been blown away and they lost everything. So he does go above and beyond, and you can really feel it when he forecasts and what he does off air too.
Okay. And Roy, you have a love for your wife and your 2 boys. Talk about that.
Well, my wife's name is Chris Ponder, and my boys are Dalton. He's now 13. I got 2 teenagers now. And my Dylan, he's 15. So Dalton's a lot like me. He's pretty active in sports. He plays soccer and everything. Dylan, he's very creative. He's a very artistic. He almost like takes after my wife because my wife's creative as well. And he's a phenomenal drawer. He can draw just things out of. He doesn't get that from me, that's for sure. But yes, my 2 boys, they're in 7th grade as well as 10th grade now.
Okay, and of course we always know that the kids love their names dropped on national television, so that's why I ask you about that.
Yes, they're right. They're called, my wife is, I guess, Mama POW or Mrs. POW, and then my little boy is, Little POW. Yeah, that's what he was, Little POW, because I'm POW, and then Mama POW, and Little POW, and then my dog is Puppy POW.
Oh, that's so cute, Puppy POW. Gotta include the dog in that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And Roy, we have a viewer asking, what is your favorite part of your job?
I would say, to help people. I mean, I put together a forecast, and that's challenging enough as itself. But I'm able to relay my knowledge to others, and it's helpful. I give forecasts, I give warnings out well in advance so they can prepare and protect for, unforeseen events, or plan their day. It's really, really impactful and really rewarding when I can say, hey, I've got a wedding in a week on Saturday. Hey, what's the weather going to be like? Is it outside? Do I need to move it? Do I need to reschedule? What do I need to do? Or, hey, you warned me about this tornado. You warned me about this hail coming. I was able to move my car out of the out of the open and get into the garage. You saved me so much money. I mean, I think that aspect of it is that I'm able to help so many people in that way.
Yeah, and I follow POW on Facebook, and I get notifications. So as soon as he comes up, I watch the weather to see what is going to happen, especially last night. It's like you wanted to make sure your vehicles were in the garage or protected in some way because of the hail. What size hail did we receive last night?
Well, there was a swath that came through Tarrant County. There was anywhere from 2 to 3.5 inches, which is basically, baseball, ping pong, tennis ball, all the way up to some, maybe potentially even softball size hail. That was some very dangerous stuff that came through a pretty good swath into Tarrant County, and there's a lot of damage, and because it hit a highly populated area to not only cars but also rooftops too, because essentially anything over golf ball size or greater does do damage to your roof. And when you're getting up to baseball type size, those things can travel almost 100 miles an hour and they go through your windshield. So it gets really, really dangerous.
Yeah. And do you think there was a couple $1 billion of damage last night?
Well, it is estimated because there was actually 3 swaths. There was one in Norman, Oklahoma. There was one in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and there was actually another one in San Antonio. So based on the populated areas and based on the zip codes that it potentially hit and the hail size that was hit the ground, it's already estimated that that event could potentially amass anywhere from $2 to $3 billion in damage after it's all said and done.
Wow, that's incredible. And then as you can see in our background, the weather today is a little bit dark and windy.
Yes, we still have that upper level low out by New Mexico that it's kind of taking its sweet time, and it's going to send spokes of rain still heading our way. Nothing severe.
Good.
We're just talking about rain. But yes, we are going to be staying cloudy and kind of rainy for, unfortunately, throughout the weekend.
Okay, that's nice to know. That way, if you need your workouts, you get them done inside, right?
Right.
Okay. And Roy, do you feel pressure to get the forecast right for big holiday weekend plans or weddings like you were talking about for the people who make plans dependent upon the weather, especially Texas weather, right?
They do. Yes, it gets more challenging the longer term you go out. I mean, some people ask me, hey, I'm getting married on April the 7th. It's like the middle of February. It's like, well, I can't, predict it on that exact same day, this far out. But within 2 weeks, I can definitely give you a pretty good guesstimate on what the weather is going to be like, that far out. Now, obviously, closer in, it's definitely a little bit easier.
Well, and especially Texas weather, because it's so different. And this is for those that are not familiar with the Texas weather, that are new here or maybe been here a couple of years, and it changes quite frequently.
It's a very volatile. It's one of the hardest places to forecast the weather in, because we're basically right in the middle of the United States, where the jet stream meets. We're at the end of Tornado Alley. We have a cap that comes off the southwest winds of of Mexico that puts a lid on the atmosphere sometimes, and that inhibits the storm development. So that's always a challenging aspect on what's the strength of the cap's going to be. So yes, it is definitely one of those harder places in the United States to forecast weather in, for sure.
Okay. And Roy, we have a viewer asking if you do any storm chasing, maybe a severe storm or got caught up in one.
I probably did that in my younger years. I definitely did a little bit of storm chasing, but no, it's right now. It's not for me. I would rather do what I did last night: stay in a secure place, and of all the technology they'll have available. And that's the benefit nowadays, is we have a lot better technology and forecasting capability to utilize to predict the weather, and hopefully that has definitely helped save a lot of lives over the years, just because of the tools that we have available more now than what wasn't available, say 20 or 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And you're talking about technology and the tools that you have. So how much data do you look at when developing a weather forecast?
A lot.
Too much to go into, right?
It really is. There's 112 different weather models on a daily basis, if you can believe that.
Wow.
And that's just the weather models. There's teleconnections, there's NJO, there's ocean cycles, there's the Southern Oscillation Index, there's all types of things to, but it's all about a puzzle. I always talk about it as, the weather is a movie, not a snapshot, because it's a movement in time. And you try to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's probably the most challenging part of the weather. You're just trying to figure out, first of all, you try to find all the pieces of the puzzle, and then you try to match them up based on the time and the trajectory of systems to figure out what it's going to be over an allotted location at a given time. And that's probably the most challenging part about it.
A lot of information.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And you now report on the weather across the United States on your YouTube channel. How often do you report the weather locally and nationally?
Well, on YouTube, I do nationwide. It's actually every single day. You know, I was live till 1 o'clock in the morning last night. I was probably posting till 3, and I was up at 6, take the kids to school, came back and did a YouTube video.
Okay.
So yes, it is every single day on YouTube.
And what is your YouTube channel?
POW Ponder on Weather.
Okay. And for people who have an interest in learning about the weather, what suggestions do you have for them?
Oh gosh. You know, well, follow me. I don't know.
I agree.
I do.
The perfect answer.
I like to educate, you know, because I'm not one of those guys, you know, just because the model's saying something, I try to give you reasons why the model's saying it. And give you reasons, hey, why this particular model is saying, hey, it's supposed to rain, or it's going to be sunny, or it's going to be snowy, or what have you, because of this event over here. Hey, we got this coming across the Bering Strait, or this is coming out of the Pacific, and it's going to be in here in 4 days. It's going to hook up with this trough, and so I get a little bit more detailed and give you a reason why it's gonna happen. Basically, the why before the what.
Okay. And Roy, you have a website that's listed on the screen now with POW Ponder promotional items such as t-shirts, coffee mugs, rain, water gauge, tumblers, and much more. You're also looking for sponsors, so tell us about that.
Well, like I mentioned, you can find it on poundonweather.com, and then the sponsors are my bread and butter of how I stay afloat. It keeps me doing what I do, and but yeah, the sponsors, I'm definitely looking for people that might potentially be wanting to advertise on my channel, or potentially my YouTube channel is maybe like a branding type situation, even my website, because I get a lot of traffic on my website as well, on ponderonweather.com. So there's multiple different options to, and then of course I get a lot of traffic on there as well.
Okay, and are there different prices for being a sponsor? Price levels?
There is. I mean, I have main sponsors, and typically there's only so much room I have on certain platforms, and if it's going to work or be a better fit or not. But yes, there are different price points and stuff.
Okay, all right. And as we come to the close of our show, are there any last words you'd like to say to the audience?
No, I had a great time. I definitely had a great time this afternoon.
Yeah, well, I'm so thankful that you were here, and we always need to know the weather here in Texas, or anywhere, but especially Texas. And we have a few last photos that we want to share with the audience.
Okay.
And can you go ahead and tell us about this photo?
Well, that's one of the at the Halloween events. We always like to dress up and go out on Halloween, and that's when me and my wife were Pebbles and Bam Bam for that particular year. But we don't try to recycle it. We always come out as something different. So
yeah, that's a really cute picture. And then what about this next photo, Roy?
That is up in Arcadia Park, up in Maine. We took a New England trip 2 years ago. We flew into Boston, rented a car, and then we did 6 states in 10 days, did a whirlwind trip of about 1,500 miles, stayed in different locations every single day. When we go on vacation, we don't sleep. We don't go to rest. We're on it. We're up at 7, have the breakfast, out the door. So we like to see a lot when we go on vacation.
Try to get as much done in one day as you can, right? Yeah.
They'd probably taken the red eye back.
Okay. And then, Roy, tell us about this next picture. You rescued and adopted Roxy about 10 years ago?
Oh, yes, Roxy. Well, Roxy was, when we adopted her, we found out that she was adopted and taken back actually twice, over a several month span. So when we adopted her, I was like, and then we had another Jack Russell at the time. So she was our second Jack Russell. And yes, a little challenging at first, but definitely she's turned out to be one of the sweetest dogs we've ever had. Absolutely. Yeah. And now she's 10 years old. So that was back when she was 2. So we've had her 8 years, and she's been phenomenal.
Oh. And then this last photo, it shows you and the family and Roxy. That photo doesn't get much cuter. Go ahead and talk about that.
That was probably at one of our Beavers Bend. We go to Oklahoma a lot, and Beavers Bend, we rent a cabin, and she comes with us. Roxy goes to a lot of places we go. She wants to be included, part of the family. When I go pick up the boys from school, she's coming with me. So Yes, Roxy is definitely a big part of the family.
Okay. And thank you once again, Roy, for being a part of our Supreme Lending Show. And if you want to learn more about the weather, if you want updates, follow POW Ponder on Facebook, follow him on YouTube, look him up on his website. And just once again, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And have a blessed day.